Welcome back. It is time to go low here with Jeff Stanislow, your host of Let's Go Low show on AM 820 in Tampa. Every Saturday morning, we bring you great golf stories. We have Mike Hicks, Caddie Corner. We have equipment manufacturers. We have accessories, merch. We have instructors. We have lots of great things in the golf world. And today we have a special guest that's actually an author of a book. The book is called Conversations with Par. And Peter Melton, thanks for joining the show.
Yeah, it's great to be here with you, Jeff, and all your listeners.
Yeah. So, Peter, you and I had a little conversation before about just like your book in general. And I thought it was really spot on. I got a chance to read a few chapters into it. And the mindset in chapter 1 is something that I go through every time. Like, hey, I played great last weekend. It's a beautiful Saturday morning. I'm going to go low. And, you get out there and you start playing and you're frustrated because it's not going your way. And, you're instead of like making pars, you're making bogeys and doubles and what have you. And your book is a great story. And as soon as I read chapter 1, I'm like, I got to get this guy on the air. So Peter, tell us a little bit about your book and like maybe, the backstory of like, why did you decide to write it? And we're talking with Peter Melton, the author of Conversations with Par.
There's my book there. It's drawn by my brother, Greg, is a landscape architect. He drew the cover for me. Conversations with Par, how a frustrated golfer found joy through golf. And that became my story. I played a lot of golf as a kid. I got good. I played high school. I played junior college. I got down to an 8, yada, yada, yada. But then other interests came about. I wasn't playing as much. I didn't want to practice, but somehow I kept thinking I should still be able to shoot 80, 85. Come on, I can do this. It's still in here. And practice a few days and I can go do good at that scramble, right? But even as easy as a scramble, I remember a key moment in my transformation was my brother brought me in to be a ringer on a scramble tournament, and I was terrible. And he's looking at me all day long. He says, "Who are you?" I'm like, I don't know. It's got to be here somewhere. So I got very, very frustrated with the game because I was just locked into my score and that I should be able to score well. And I got so frustrated that I stopped playing for a while. I took up left-handed. I took up disc golf, anything to try to recreate the buzz that I got early on as a golfer, and struggled for way too many long years, decades, not enjoying the game. And finally, I figured I have to figure this out. And that's what led to the book of how can I remember the joys of the game.
Sure. I think you're spot on in regards to this. I think every amateur golfer, maybe even semi-pro or professionals, probably go through that mindset of, I'm going to quit this game, or I'm going to sell my clubs, or I'm going to chuck them into the water, or whatever the situation is. But then, you birdie 18 and you're back there the next day. So we always, the ebbs and flows with golf is incredible. This is Jeff Stanislow. You're listening to Let's Go Low here on AM 820, brought to you by Golfers Unite. Our special guest today is Peter Melton, the author of Conversations with Par. And so you got the premise of the book set. Let's dive in a little bit about like some of the chapters and some of the things that you cover in the book, and Conversations with Par. Tell us a little bit more.
Yeah, so it struck me. It's like I've got to reconnect to the game. Talk about uniting, right? It's like, how do I get more reconnected with the game? And the way that the book came about for me was this idea of, if I'm going to connect more with the game, how would I do that? And this frustrated golfer, as the story starts, I 3-putt 18 to lose a match. And, what the hell's par anyway? Right? That we measure ourselves. This game is such a game of measurements and judgments and results. And of course, we're a very results-driven culture. And so it ties in perfectly to that craziness of judging ourselves so harshly, which leads to the frustration. But in the book, I said, what the hell's par anyway? And then I hear a voice in my head. And it says, oh, hi, here I am. I'm like, wait, what's that voice? It's like, it's me, Par. what's going on here, right? And so this voice in my head starts blowing my mind, really. And I'm like, well, what do you mean par? It's like, yeah, it's me, par. You asked what par is, and here I am. And he says, what par? What do you mean par? Just par. It's like the par from golf. It's like, yeah, the par from golf. Is there any other par? And well, no. I says, I could tell that you were frustrated, so I thought I'd check in and see if we can't help you figure out how to reconnect the enjoyment of the game. And so poor Peter in the story is like going crazy, right? He's like, I think I'm going crazy. And Par says, well, maybe you're already crazy and you're trying to take yourself somewhere else, right? And this is the big nugget of the book, is that can we dare to look at what's going on here? And Par asked Peter, well, why are you playing? He says, well, what do you mean, why am I playing? Well, why are you playing? Surely you've been playing for 30 years. You've asked yourself this question. It's like, well, yeah, but why am I playing? I'm playing to hope to score well so that then I can be happy at the end of the round.
Yeah,
right?
I love that. I love
and
that.
Par says, well, how's that working out for you? Right? It's like, that doesn't work. First of all, you've wasted the 5 hours waiting to see if you could then at the end be happy enough with your score that you could say, I had a good time. Right? That we miss being present to the 99 beautiful things about golf that aren't my score.
Yes.
And that's really the undergirding of the whole thing, is how can I find enjoyment in this game? And what relationship do I need to have with my score compared to what relationship do I need to have with being with my buddies, out in nature, exercise, hot dog, beer at the turn, travel to new places, see beautiful courses, right? The beauty of golf gets totally wiped out by so many of us when we get locked into the score being the only course of enjoyment.
Yeah, we're talking with Peter Melton, the author of Conversations with Par, here on AM 820. This is Jeff Stanislaw, your host of the Let's Go Low Show, brought to you by Golfers Unite. And our sponsor is Back Nine Golf, opening up in Carrollwood this May. So anyways, Peter, I love how you kind of gave Par a voice. I thought that was really, really creative to kind of make the character of Par and setting those examples of, like, what is Par. And I love what you just said about there's so much more in the world of golf. The camaraderie, the enjoyment, the relationship building, being outdoors and in nature, the internal challenge in yourself with, like, every shot. I always say every shot makes someone happy, right? Whether it's you as the player and you make a good one, or whether it's your opponent and you don't, they're just going to make someone happy. So diving in the book a little bit more, Peter, what are some of the takeaway messages that you feel really strike home with the book Conversations with Par?
So what comes out through the book is the realization that golf is a lot like life, right? And we get out there and we do the very best we can with every swing, but then the results go everywhere. So then I get to deal with myself, right? It's this inner journey of golf that I don't think gets discussed or really felt into as much as it deserves to, is, wow, what am I going through in the course of a round? And how am I dealing with myself? And how do I deal with the fact that I disappoint myself sometimes, or I flat out blow it, right? And I overreact and all these things. So this metaphor of golf being like life comes through in the entire book. It's like, well, wait, how I treat myself on the course is how I treat myself in life. And that's why people say, play golf with someone and you'll know more about them in 4 hours than you could learn outside of golf and, many meetings and different connections. And because it really is an amazing parallel. And do we realize that? To what degree do I realize, oh my God, this is a beautiful day. Yeah, I shanked that shot. So what? Right? That can I get past this judgment and results-based way of looking at golf and free myself to just be with the game and be with myself and realize that it's a game, right? Because the game is meant to be enjoyed. Can we start with number one? Am I enjoying myself? Can I enjoy myself? Can I enjoy myself when the shots don't go where I want them to go? And so that's exactly that's the big hit there is the mirror that golf is, right? And how am I dealing with myself amidst the challenges of life, this round of golf?
Yeah, Peter Melton, author of Conversations with Par. We're talking about like the mindset of golf, and I think your book is absolutely amazing. This is Jeff Stanislaw. You're listening to Let's Go Low Show with Jeff Stanislaw, your host, brought to you by Golfers Unite and sponsored by Back Nine Golf. And Peter, I mean, you kind of nailed it on the head. I mean, how oftentimes, we define a round of golf, which is usually a par 72. And then we define our success on the score that we make. And we forget that it's realized that it's a game. And how oftentimes that, people will say, well, I don't do this for a living. You know what I mean? Back to the day job tomorrow. So everything's okay. But their mindset is still frustration, after a round of golf that might not have gone their way. And I love that how you kind of position your character Par to help them through the challenges. Really a tall tale in the symbiotic nature between golf and life. Peter, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, your backstory, and where someone might be able to find your book, your website. So, one of our listeners who might want to take this to the next level and read your book as well.
There you go. Well, thank you very much for the opportunity to share with all of you. It's my website is petermeltongolf.com. And on the website, actually, the first 4 chapters are available for you to get a taste of this. And it all came about, as I mentioned, from years and years of frustration and realizing that this is a beautiful game that I'm wasting. This is the game of my life. I started playing when I was 10. I grew up by a golf course. Loved the game. Loved the chance to play a game by myself also, and loved the competition of it. But got way too caught up in the score. And this is what Par says in the book. Another big nugget that I love to share with people is they're talking back and forth, and then Par jumps out and he says, 4, right? He goes, well, what? He says, am I in danger? He says, yeah, you're in danger. You're in danger of missing the whole point of being here, right? There's a physical 4 that the ball might hit you, but there's a mental, emotional, spiritual 4 that's the inner 4, right? That says, wait a minute, am I even grasping what's going on here? Right? That we get so locked into, okay, I got a couple of pars going. This is going to be a good round. Here I go. I got to keep it going. And then we have that hole that happens. And how do we deal with ourselves? Okay, it's still a chance. But the whole time we're missing that present moment. We're missing the beauty of the course. We're missing the camaraderie. I mean, sure, it's happening, but you're not living it. You're not allowing golf to live through you. Right. And to see, oh my God, just the beauty of this sand trap setup they've got around the screen, or like the one you have in the background of your picture there. It's like, man, these some gorgeous areas here. And why am I caught up in the score? And Par goes on to say, there's so much more than just your score. Right. And little things that help us do what I call a chiropractic maneuver on your golf game a little bit. Right. It's like, wait, just this adjustment, this mirror, this prompt that says, what do you enjoy most about this hole, Jeff? Oh, wow. I don't think I've ever asked myself that question. But I always noticed that row of trees over there was all in perfect straight line. I thought that's pretty, that it offers question after question, because Par's just guiding him. He doesn't tell him what to do. He guides him with questions and prompts, like that. What do you enjoy most about this downhill putt? Wow. The thrill of maybe I'm going to knock it 20 feet past the hole, right? It's like, there's a lot riding on this. And am I enjoying that, or am I making that a point of judgment? Yeah. So that's how it all circled around. The book is available on Amazon. And I just came out with it in September of 25. I started it in 2009. So it was a long process with many years of no writing. And then finally it kicked in. I've got to get this thing finished. And I had a break. I had a little viral moment through a program called Random Golf Club, you may have heard of, with Eric Anders Lang. And he was doing a documentary about the mental game, and I called him up to tell him about some of the ideas I had. This was 2013, and he filmed me sharing some of my ideas about golf in 2013, and then in 2023 was on his podcast, his co-host said, "Didn't you play golf with some guy who did crazy stuff like playing golf without a ball?" That was my hook for him, is that if you play a hole without a ball, you have a chance to experience the golf course in a whole different way, because it's not about judgment. Anyway, that little blurb went viral, and I got some exposure in 2023, and it inspired me. So I got to finish this darn book and get these crazy ideas out to the world, because I'm sure there's other people as frustrated as me out there.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting story, and we're talking with Peter Melton, and Peter's the author of Conversations with Par, a kind of insightful book that, looks at playing golf from Par's perspective, the character that Peter came up with, and help them through the organization of looking back at golf and saying, it's not my score, it's the experience. Peter Melton, his book can be found at Peter Melton Golf and Conversations with Par. You guys got to check it out. Really, really exciting stuff, Peter. And I'd love to have you back on the show, sometime in the near future. Maybe you will come up with Conversations with Birdie.
There you go.
Might be the sequel, because it'll make everybody happier with birdies, right?
There you go.
Again, this is Jeff Stanislow. You've listened to another episode of Let's Go Low on AM 820, brought to you by Golfers Unite and presented by Back Nine Golf Carrollwood, which is opening up in May. Thank you, Peter. Thanks for spending some time with us today.
You're very welcome.
You got it, my friend. Take care.